Hey everyone, happy Monday motivation and welcome back to the podcast No More Excuses, where we're kicking off the new year with a banging, setting you up for your crushing goals like a badass. And I am your host, Sandi Ballard, the badass business coach. This is the fourth week that I've shared 3 business tips to help you kickstart your year. And it doesn't matter if you've owned your business for many years or you're just getting started, just thinking about it. These tips will help you revamp, recharge, and revitalize your business strategies and grow both personally and professionally. Yes, it's your straight talk for No More Excuses podcast this week and a little Monday motivation to make sure you're creating the momentum like the badass you're meant to be. So we're settling into the first month of the new year. It's time to check your progress. I do this with all my clients and myself. It's time to really look at how things are going, the good, the bad, the what the hell. You've got to really dig in and see how things are going, because otherwise, if you don't check your progress, how do you know if you're off track? How do you know if shit's gone sideways? How do you know what you're allowing? And with all the tips that I've given you, setting your vision, developing those goals and the plan, and then looking into the habits, making sure you have the right habits, the strong habits you need to keep going, as well as clear communication, expectations, and really, oh gosh, those beautiful boundaries that really tend to sometimes piss other people off because you've said, sure, yes. You've not learned how to say no. And that all affects your productivity, right? So today, it's the end of the month. I really want you to look at how things are going. I want you to dig in and be honest. All right. So tip number 1, ruthless progress reviews. That's what I was saying. Lock in a date with your goals and just grill them hard. Dig in, see what's working, what's not. No sugarcoating, no mercy. Acknowledge your victories with a nod, with a high five, with a cocktail, whatever you want. And your setbacks, it's okay. Shit happens. But plan to smash through them. Look at really what's going on. This is about raw honesty and the guts to face what needs changing. And I'll share a little bit about what I changed after the tips. So yeah, just really dig into what's working and what's not working. If you're so far off, your goal is not making any progress, no momentum, look into what happened and what's going on. Tip number 2, adapt or die. Okay, you're not going to die, but your plans are not sacred. If it's failing, tear it apart and rebuild it. Don't let up on the goals. Rework the plan. Rework the action steps. Be relentless in your review and pursuit of what works. The end game, like I said, the goal stays the same, but your methods, they're as expendable as they need to be. But that's why you try things. What works for me isn't going to work for you. Isn't going to work for another person. Isn't going to work for your sister or cousin or brother or whatever, right? So be relentless on sticking with your goal and just figure out how to change the plan. All right. Stay sharp and never get sentimental about your strategies, right? Tip number 3, unyielding forward charge. Don't just keep going, push harder every day. You've got to advance. Every day you're not advancing is a day wasted, right? I like to say, get off your ass and do something your future self will thank you for. And I don't care if it's your future self is tomorrow or next week. Demand progress from yourself. Set the bar higher and crush it. This is about momentum that doesn't know how to quit and a drive that doesn't understand the concept of pumping the brakes, right? So once you've done all that, once you've done your progress check, your momentum check, as I like to call it, be honest. How are you doing? What's going on? What's working? What's not working? That's the biggest tip. Did you stick with your habits or not? Did you reduce your distractions and increase your productivity or not? Did you set your goals and your vision? and create your plan or not? If not, if you've answered not to any of those, even one, you've got to go back and get your shit together and get that set up. Obviously, really shouldn't have anything with unless you've had the vision, goals, and plan. That is tip number one, high priority, where you start. And if you've answered yes, then that's awesome. Yes, give yourself the high five, do whatever you need to do to celebrate, and, look at what you can do to raise that bar maybe a little bit higher. Are your goals a little too easy? Well, keep the momentum going. It's okay to have a couple little easy goals, little shorter term goals. I like those. You can't just jump in and say, this is what I'm going to do by the end of the year or else, and not have anything to help you create the momentum. You've got to have the monthly, quarterly, baby step goals. Some people even set weekly just to keep them going, right? And that's fine. Just make sure you're making progress. If you are, cool. Like I said, figure out what's working. And if you're not, what bullshit are you allowing? And the thing is, if you need help with something, just ask. I checked in with a client this morning, and guess what? She gave herself a deadline of 2 weeks, not my deadline, her deadline, to get her brochure done. And guess what? Nothing. She didn't even make progress. She didn't even get words typed. She got caught up. The first time I checked in with her a week ago, I gave her 1 week, and then today, she said she was looking for the right software. Here's what she's used before. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll do that. Then she had another week and still made nothing. She said she does have a full-time job, and that's what we're trying to transition her out of. But she got caught up with clients even on the weekend. So I asked her, how important is this to you? How important is this piece of your pie, of your puzzle, of your whatever you want to get your business off the ground? How important is it to you? It should be pretty important. Dealing with clients, with your full-time paying gig, with hers or yours, it's important. But getting sucked down the rabbit hole looking for the perfect software, that's a bullshit excuse. We all get down in rabbit holes. I do, but you got to learn to stop yourself. Don't get caught up in the perfectionism. I'm looking for the perfect software for scheduling. I haven't found it yet, but I'm going to stop looking around because guess what? That's just going to confuse people, but is it always the perfect one? Does it have as much as you can have to get the job done? So she also mentioned needing a logo. Well, I handled that for her. She asked for help. So she did do that well. I introduced her to someone that will do the logo for her and will do it quickly. So she can't make an excuse about that. So then she'll have a brochure, her logo ready for her brochure. And honestly, the next step will be for her to hand over the brochure to the person as well. You got to do it or pay for it, right? If you don't have the money, you got to do it. But if you're going to allow things to take up your schedule or shit just comes up, health-wise, weather-wise, depending on what you do for a living, then you got to pay for it. But if you have the time and you don't know how, you need to ask for the help. And if you had the time and you know how to do what you need to do, then stop making bullshit excuses. Yes, it can be scary. I've had a couple things on my marketing wise on my goal sheet for a couple of years now. And this year when I reviewed it, I'm like, I really, in this little bucket has really not made the progress I thought it would make, And so this year I had to look at what I could do differently. I had to make a tough decision to change things up, and it was hard. It was hard to switch some marketing tactics because it was easy and comfortable. And I know some people that are involved in and where I was going and what I was doing, but it was not bringing me the results I needed. And it was not allowing me to have the energy to give back as well. So sometimes tough decisions and even tougher conversations are what it takes to change your behavior to lead to the shift you need to achieve your goals and success. I like to say business ownership is going to be work, hard work, but it doesn't have to suck. So now it's time to get off your ass, make the changes to your action steps, make the changes to your plan, and get back to it. So what do you need? What do you need to do? Let's get to it. And bonus tip, all right? Work sprints. My friend Joe Blow introduced me to this, and it was just like so simple, yet so mind-blowing. So here's what it is, a work sprint. You take something on your to-do list that you have just been avoiding, that carryover to-do shit that just keeps, bouncing up there, and you look at it and you're like, oh, don't want to do that. Whether it's making calls, whether it's follow-up emails, whether it's setting up social media, posting on social media, maybe it's making a tough conversation or having a tough conversation, making that call to have that tough conversation with someone, right? So whatever it is, whether you need 30 minutes or 3 hours, block that time out and do what you need to do. She and I did this together, and it was just fun. So, for me, I turned on my favorite music, but sometimes I need complete quiet. If I'm writing, or obviously if I'm recording this, I cannot have screamo music or 80s music in the background, right? Although 80s music would be kind of fun. But she and I did this. So I turned on my music for what I was doing. We set the timer. We agreed on the time we're going to do. And we just did our work. And we knew that other person was there for us. So, like I said, turn off your phone, turn off all your notifications. If there are people in your house or your office, wherever you're working, tell them to leave you the fuck alone for however long and get to it. So when she and I were done, we texted each other. It's like, hey, how'd you do? What'd you get done? Did you get all that you wanted to get done? Did you accomplish what you set out to do? And I've also done this as a group on Zoom. It was kind of cool too. It was very cool. We all just went onto a Zoom page, talked about what we were going to do, and got to it. And, we called a work sprint buddy. So we were there to ask questions, get and give support, bounce ideas off of, and hold each other accountable. So whether we had our screens on, we just were looking down, looking up, doing whatever we need to do, writing on our whiteboards, creating, thinking, etc., making phone calls. And then at the end, we got back on and we popped on, checked in, put in the chat where we were, what we accomplished, and that was it. So find a work buddy, find a work sprint buddy, I should say, and do this. Or if you're interested in that, email me, Sandi with an I at sandiballard.com. Find me, you can comment, or you can DM me on all the socials. You know where I am. And that's the biggest thing, is to just take action. If you can't do it with yourself, find that work sprint accountability buddy or group. If you're interested in the group thing, let me know. I can set that up. So from here on out, what are you going to do? What tip resonated with you most? What did you take action on? And please share how your year has gone so far. What does this month look like for you? What's worked? What's not worked? What have you allowed? And what have you accomplished? I look forward to hearing from you. And let's just all get down to it, get off our ass, and do something tomorrow we'll be grateful for. Cheers.